I'd made a film, but I've just found out now that there's no sound either. And that was part of it. But it's only fun, isn't it? And we're only here for fun, I think. So bear with me a second.
Can you not put the mic down to the sound on the computer? Will that work?
Hey.
Come on.
You're not daft, are you?
Good thinking.
You're
have
not
you got a hand mic?
You're not just a pretty face.
There you go.
That was actually quite scary, man.
demo.
That's cool. That's so cool. I think it's too cool.
This is the man, and I've got a number of things against this guy. It was put to me to say, is this man a hero or a villain? And I've heard nothing tonight that would convince me either way, because I think you've got the whole gist, all of you, including my colleague here. You've all got it totally wrong. This man is a villain. He encouraged architects to wear stupid glasses. And tonight, somebody here has indulged me without me paying them any money. Please stand up, Christoph. Please stand up. Nick, please stand up. National health specs have never been a good look unless you have a plaster across them. If you go on lots of architecture sites, you'll see architects wearing fucking stupid glasses. There was also this thing about L. Think about that, L. When you go to, I remember going to university in the late 70s and early 80s, and it was very cool to watch French films, wasn't it? In the same way, it's because he's got a name that begins L. Well, it must be arty, mustn't it? He must be arty, he must be good. L. These are just some nice shots when you type in Cobusier on the internet. Artistic shots, all taken by photographers at the time who enjoyed doing le photograph. You've seen lots about that, we don't need to hang on about that. Beautiful pictures taken all around the country. But one of the most worrying things is that it spread to other designers. Now, this is another important tastemakers in this nation of ours. This is Wally Ollins of Wolf Ollins. Anybody heard of him? He's a pretty famous guy. But look what Cobusier led us to. They made a man wear stupid glasses. Those glasses saw this as being good. This is what we're stuck with on 2012. Corbusier is responsible for that logo. Corbusier said, buy only practical furniture, never buy decorative. Who became the head of design at MFI? Wally Ollins. Think of how important that is. What is the shittest high street non-decorative retailer? It's got to be MFI. You can trace all of that back to Corbusier. Luckily, MFI is going to join Woolworths very soon and be no longer. I would suggest that we should also put Cobusier in that same coffin with MFI. This is some MFI kitchens, in case any of you lot who buy all those posh ones from Italy and Germany. This is an MFI. This is what the people buy. Then, Peter Rogers of Stanhope, brother of, who is he? Brother of Richard Rogers. He wears them bloody Corbusier glasses. What has it led to? That is a Stanhope fairly recent development. There's got to be a link. There has to be a link somewhere. Timmy Mallet. It went worse. Timmy Mallet is a direct descendant of Le Corbusier. Sarah Palin. A direct descendant of Le Corbusier. This is Chandigarh. Beautiful, beautiful place. This is people begging outside of it. And then, more than anything, he's an absolute hypocrite. He says, practical, never decorative. Well, is that practical? Is it never decorative? So much of his stuff, he swapped and changed. I think there was one thing that I'd like you to... as Nick was speaking, there's one thing that came into my mind, and it was a mental diagram. And it had Cobusier at the top, then an arrow, then it said self-belief, then it said shouting loud, which he did, and then it said lead by example, and then there was that, then you said the word speed, and then you can underneath that stupidity, and then underneath that we end up with what we ended up with, and those building blocks coming down. If he hadn't shouted so fucking loud, maybe we could have listened and we could have looked at the nice house that he did, the one nice house that he did, and a few interesting ideas that he had with furniture. But because he did shout so loud and because we listened, surely he's a villain. You can't just, you cannot dissociate the fact that he wanted people to copy him. And maybe they copied him wrong, but when you do that, and when you're there not trying to guide their hand, and if he had been there in Sheffield, and if he had been there in Roehampton, and if he had been there in Cumbernauld, and if he had been there in Skelmersdale, and if he had been there in Runcorn, and if he had been there in all those towns where it has all gone wrong, then maybe we could still call him a hero, because at least he would have tried, but he didn't. He didn't put himself about. He stuck in one place and said, you follow me. He wasn't like Jesus who went out there and started spreading, tearing the bread up and the fishes and stuff like that. No, he thought that everybody had to fish, not to fish with him. Everybody had to do what he said. And that resulted in that. And it's totally unacceptable. Thanks.